All right, let's talk about something huge in trading. Maybe the biggest piece of the puzzle, psychology. We're not just going to talk about why it's important. We're going to get into exactly how you can train your mind to actually succeed in the markets. So let's get right into it.
We've all heard this a million times, haven't we? Every book, every mentor, they all say it. Trading is 20% strategy, 80% psychology. We know this line by heart.
But here's the real kicker, right? We spend all our energy on that 20%. But what about the giant 80% that's supposed to matter most? How in the world are you supposed to train that?
Okay, so let's really dig into this 80-20 rule, because just knowing about it clearly isn't enough to make you profitable. This is the first big wall that almost every trader hits.
I mean, think about it. There is an endless amount of technical info out there. You can spend your life learning smart money concepts, order blocks, trap trading, you name it. The knowledge is everywhere. But for so many people, the results just don't follow. So what gives?
And here it is. This is the absolute heart of the matter. The problem isn't what you know. It's the massive gap between what your brain knows you should do and what you actually do when real money's on the line. It's a pure execution problem, and that's all psychology.
Which brings us face to face with the real enemy here. The thing that's truly standing between you and consistency, it's not the market. It's your own mind.
Come on, tell me this doesn't look familiar. You make a plan. My stop loss is 10,000. But the second you're down 3,000 or 4,000, that cold fear just grips you. Or you plan for an 8,000 rupee target, but you chicken out and close at break even just to avoid the feeling of a potential loss. This is the war inside our heads.
You know what's so wild about this? It's the element of surprise. We literally plan for the loss. We write it down. But when it starts happening, our brain reacts with total shock. And that shock, that's the trigger. That's what opens the floodgates to fear, panic, and a whole bunch of really bad decisions.
You know, this reminds me of a quick story that just nails this idea down perfectly. It shows you how a rattled mind works in the real world, and it's a fantastic analogy for what's happening to us when we trade.
So picture this. The guy telling the story was backing his car up and just barely bumped a little street cart. It was nothing. No damage. But instantly, he got flustered, a little nervous, worried what people were thinking. His mind was rattled. And just a few moments later, totally unfocused, he took a corner too sharp and bang, burst a tire. That tiny little bump created the mental state for the much bigger mistake.
And that is exactly what happens to us in trading. A loss that we weren't truly mentally ready for. That's the minor bump. It shakes us up, it makes us nervous, and suddenly we're perfectly primed to make that next huge mistake, like revenge trading or blowing up our account.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. If the issue is a mind that's totally unprepared for reality, then the only solution is to train it. So let's get to the good part, the how. Let's look at exactly what you need to do.
The tool we're going to use is visualization. Now let's be super clear. This isn't some fuzzy, magical thinking. This is a practical, proven mental exercise. When you repeatedly and vividly imagine doing something, your brain actually builds the neural pathways to do it for real under pressure. You're basically creating memories of the right behavior before it even happens.
So, how do we put this into action? I'm going to walk you through two incredibly powerful mental exercises you can start using literally today before you even think about placing another trade. First up, we're going to rehearse the worst day. Before the market even opens, you decide your maximum loss. Then you close your eyes and you actually imagine it happening. You see the trades go against you, you watch your P&L turn red and hit that max loss number. But here's the crucial part. You then visualize yourself calmly, without any emotion, accepting it, closing the laptop, and walking away. You're taking away the surprise. So when a real loss happens, your brain just goes, oh yeah, I've seen this movie before. This is part of the job.
Okay, exercise 2 is for your winning trades. Picture a trade going your way. It's in profit. Then visualize that scary part, a pullback. The profit starts to shrink, and you see yourself just staying calm, trusting your analysis, not panicking. Then you visualize the trend resuming, blowing past its old high, and hitting your final profit target. And you see yourself exiting calmly, sticking to the plan, with no greed. This builds the mental muscle you need to actually hold on to your winners.
See what we're doing here? When you combine these two exercises, you're not just hoping for the best. You are actively preparing your mind for the full, messy reality of trading, the losses and the wins.
So really, here's the bottom line. A trading plan written on a piece of paper is totally worthless if you don't have the mental strength to actually follow it. This kind of mental prep, This is the bridge that connects your great strategy to your actual results.
It all comes back to that classic, timeless advice. But now, hopefully, you see that the second half of that sentence, trade your plan, is completely impossible if you haven't first trained your mind to handle the heat.
And I guess that's the final thought I want to leave you with. Your real edge in this game doesn't just come from staring at charts. It comes from preparing yourself. So the next time you sit down to trade, just ask yourself this: are you only analyzing the market? Are you also preparing the trader?